Okay, so in this session, we are going to obviously go through Facebook and Instagram. Now, Facebook and Instagram is generally social media. People look at it as a friendly kind of platform. However, this is probably the most important thing you're going to do for your business when it comes to advertising. Please excuse me if I do cough during this, just getting over a sickness. But what I'm going to do is, instead of going over the theory and the giving you some advice, I thought it would be a better idea if I actually took you through the process of setting up a campaign. What this will do is it will show you what needs to be done and the best practices you need to follow in order for your campaign to actually work. And then you can apply that to your own business. So obviously we have a lot of people here from different businesses. And if I focused on one particular thing, it might not work for someone else. So I'll give you an overview, but if you do have any questions, please leave them in the chat section or the Q&A section below. Okay, so a lot of people, what they do is they go into Facebook, they create a Facebook page, and then they post about their products or services, and that's essentially all they do. Now, your organic content should not include your products or services. You should not be trying to sell through organic content. It does work and you can use it. However, your organic content should be showing the behind the scenes, what goes into actually running your business, basically the people that are working for you, and you creating a community of people that essentially would follow your brand. That should then lead to more sales on your website. Now, with the advertising side, this is where you focus on your products and services. Okay, you're not trying to grow your brand with your advertising, you're trying to sell as much as possible. So I'm going to use the ProfileTree Facebook page as an example here, but this is how you would navigate to Ads Manager. Now, you can use the Ad Center in Facebook, where you can create ads here. However, these are slightly limited. So if we want to take it to the next step, we want to use Ads Manager. So to do that on your Facebook page, you go to Ad Center, and next to Tools, you click on the three dots and go to Ads Manager. Okay, so I've got it open here already. You may need to create an Ads Manager account. It will just have a blue button in the middle where you click on Add, and it will create a page and you'll link it to your Facebook page. It doesn't take long at all. Now, what we are looking at here is the Ad Manager, essentially the layout of it. And just to give you a quick overview of what we can see. So at the top here, we will be looking at the date range. So it's currently looking at this month. We can adjust this to be whatever days we want it to be. And the reason we'll do this is because all the metrics below would be adjusted to those date ranges. So if we want to see how much reach we got this month, then obviously we can change it to this month. And then those would update. At the moment, this is just a demo account, so there's no actual results here, but you would see the numbers change on your side. Okay, below this, we have the different levels. So we have the campaign level. The campaign level is basically where you choose your objective. We have the ad set level. So the ad set level is where you choose your audience as well as your budget. And then the ad level. The ad level is obviously what people see on Facebook or on Instagram. These are the ads that you're showing to people. So the typical process, what you would do is you would click on this green create button, and then we're going to go through and create a campaign. Okay, close that. Okay, so like I mentioned, campaigns is for your objective. So what is the objective you're trying to achieve from this campaign? Here's where you select that. So your first one is awareness. Are you trying to build awareness about a product or service or about your brand? Essentially, the awareness objective would tell Facebook that this is what you're trying to achieve, and Facebook will be able to optimize your ad for that particular reason. So if you look here, I'm hovering over this, and on the side here, it says good for reach, brand awareness, and video views. And you'll see traffic is slightly different. So each one will give you an example of what it is that you're trying to achieve. I did mention that we would go over a starting ad strategy. So just to give you an overview of that, what we would typically want to do is have an awareness campaign running as well as a traffic campaign running. I will get into more detail on that later on. Okay, so I'm going to go with the traffic campaign in this scenario. Click on continue, and a new window is going to open where we can create our campaign. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is give the campaign a name. You generally want to give it a recognizable name, something with a lot of information in. This is so that if you look at the example on the side here, new reach campaign, new traffic campaign, these pretty much are confusing because they all look the same. So giving your campaign a specific name will make it stand out and recognizable so that you don't have to go digging to find out what it is you're advertising. So the typical naming convention that we use is what we're advertising, the location, the language, and the campaign type. You're welcome to use whatever naming convention you'd like. This we find just works best for us. So if I use ProfileTree as an example, we've got the website open here. We can look at one of the services, let's say copywriting. So our campaign name would be copywriting. That's one word. We're going to be targeting people in Northern Ireland, so we can shorten that to NR. Typically, we are targeting English-speaking people, and this is a traffic campaign. Below this, we have the special ad category. So the special ad category is only required if you're advertising one of these 4 sections. So credit card offers, employment offers, housing, or if you're advertising about social issues. You do need to tick these if you are, otherwise your ads will not run. Okay. You don't need to touch anything else on this because the campaign section is essentially just selecting your objective. You can adjust this by clicking on edit and then selecting a new one. You don't need to worry about touching anything else here. So next we can move on to the ad set level. So the ad set level is very important because this is how you decide who sees your ad. Okay, just moving this out of the way, excuse me. Okay, so we want to give the ad sets a name, very similar to what we've done above. So copywriting. We don't need to include things like locations, anything else, unless there is a differentiating factor between the different ad sets. You can have multiple ad sets in a campaign. You can have as many as you like. You can simply duplicate these and then create multiple ad sets. With ad sets, we generally want to separate them by either targeting, by either budget, or by location. And in some cases, the product is also a nice place to separate them. So an example that I like to use is if we're selling shoes, we're a company that sells shoes, and we have red shoes and blue shoes, we may have an ad set which is set for only advertising red shoes and an ad set for blue shoes. That way we can control where the budget gets spent. And if more people are interested in red shoes, we may be able to put more budget behind that ad set. So carrying on from where I was. Okay, so we give the ad set a name. Then we choose what it is that we are trying to, where it is that we're trying to send traffic to. So is it to your website, to an app, Messenger, WhatsApp, or is it phone calls that you're after? I'm going to leave it on website in this case. Obviously, you can change it. Okay, so dynamic creative, you don't need to worry about this too much. It essentially just allows you to have multiple versions of your ad, but Facebook will automatically generate these for you. I tend to steer away from this. The only reason is that you can have as many ads as you want in an ad set. So if there is something that you want to be slightly different, I would recommend creating a new ad and then you change the two, you change the thing that you wanted to change, excuse me. So either the image or the ad copy, you can adjust that. That way you can manually track which one is actually performing better than the other instead of letting Facebook do it for you. Okay. Excuse me. Next, we have the budget and schedule. So we have two options here. We have a daily budget as well as a lifetime budget. So a lifetime budget will essentially require an end date. And let's say we set this for the end of July and our budget is 350. What Facebook is going to do is it's going to average it out and say, okay, well, we have to spend 350 by the end of the month, but it's not guaranteed that we're going to spend the same amount every single day. It's going to spend 350 by the end of the month, but you'll find that it spends a lot more towards the end. A daily budget is going to spend this amount every single day. As sometimes it may vary very slightly. You may find that it would spend £5 less, but then the next day it's going to spend that extra £5 that it had saved over. So there are two reasons for the different budgets, and what I would a general rule of thumb for these is that a daily budget is if you want results right now. What tends to happen, it gets to around about 10 p.m. at night and you haven't spent anything, or Facebook sees that people haven't been clicking on your ad. It wants to spend that £20 because obviously that goes to Facebook. So then it shows your ad continuously as much as possible to try and get up that, to get the spend to your daily budget. So you'll have a lot more traction at night than you will during the day. So if you want results right now, so if you have an event coming up next week and you want people to sign up right now, daily budget is the way to go. If there's no rush to the campaign, if you say, okay, well, I'm just advertising my products, it doesn't matter when they sign up, then I would always recommend using a lifetime budget. Because what tends to happen with this is that Facebook will show your ads in specific places in the beginning, but it won't stress about, oh, I have to spend this budget at the end of the day. So it will carry over budget to the next day. And by the end of the campaign, it will know specifically who is interested in your ads, and it will spend more money on those people. So a lifetime budget it'll be almost like exponential growth, where in the beginning you won't see much traffic, but towards the end you'll spend a lot and it will be good results. Whereas a daily budget, you'll see results right away. Okay, we have a start date and end date. You can adjust this however you feel. So let's just set this to 12 o'clock today. And then we can set this to the end of the day, so we know that it runs for the full day. Okay, next we select our audience. So we can create a new audience. And what generally happens when you do create a new audience is that Facebook will go through a small learning phase where it's essentially figuring out who in the audience is actually going to click on your ad. If you've used the audience before, I always recommend saving this audience. You can then use that saved audience at a later stage. And then Facebook already knows that audience, so it doesn't need to go through the learning phase. It may sometimes still do it. You know how Facebook is, it's always changing, but it'll be significantly shorter than if you just create a new audience altogether. Now, if you've created an audience from your pixel, so a pixel is a plugin or a piece of code that goes on your website that tracks people that come from an ad to your website. If you created an audience from that, you can find that audience in the custom audience section. So video view audience, add to cart audience, those sort of audiences that you would create, as well as lookalike audiences. Now, I haven't created any in this demo account, but a lookalike audience is essentially an audience that mirrors the audience that has already engaged with your content. So a lookalike audience could be a couple million people, whereas the audience that it's mirroring is only a couple thousand people. Okay, so with creating the audience, we have our locations over here. We can click on edits. We can include a specific location. We can also exclude a specific location. You always want to exclude inside the location you're targeting. For example, there's no point in me excluding Ireland because we're not targeting it. We're not going to show ads. However, I can exclude Scotland, for example, because that's inside the UK. So it will now make that red. Okay, just like that. Okay, next we have the ages. Now, with the ages, typically you want to put the starting age as close to your demographic as possible. So putting it at 18, but your demographic is 30 is going to waste your budget. So your starting age is probably more important than the ending age. And with the ending age, keep in mind that pretty much everyone's using Facebook at this moment. So 65 plus is about 30 years worth of age that you are interacting with. So most of your ads are going to be seen by people that are retired, looking at Facebook and clicking either by mistake or clicking because they just want to see what this does. And maybe they're not exactly looking to purchase. So if your demographic calls for 65 plus, please select it. If not, I always recommend just going one below, because you're essentially cutting off 30 years worth of wasted spend. Okay, below this, we have detailed targeting. So detailed targeting is where you figure out what it is that you're selling and how you're going to match that to people. So you can select specific demographics, interests, or behaviors. What I like to do in this section, which generally helps just flow through any campaign that you're running, is you put in what it is that you're advertising first. Because what you can do is go through the browse section and you can look at the different demographics. So education, life events, different sort of interests. But there's a lot to go through here. And unless you know what you're looking for, it can be a little bit tricky. So for example, if I type in copywriting like this, and I select it as an interest, we're also an agency, so I can select that one as well. I can then go suggestions and actually get suggestions all related to that one thing that I've already selected or the one thing that I'm already wanting to advertise for. So creative writing. So if we look over here, job titles, sorry about that. Job titles essentially means that copywriting is someone's job title. So you're going to show that to a specific copywriter. So copywriters are going to be looking at your ads. Now, we're advertising copywriting. So that isn't who we want to target. We want to target people that are looking for that specific thing. So you want to just keep in mind what category they're falling under. So creative writing, content marketing, that all makes sense because it's interests. Okay, digital marketing possibly as well. Okay, now the next thing with an audience you'll see over here is the audience definition. So we have this little signal over here, which is currently green. If it goes into the red, it's too specific. But if it goes into the yellow, it's too broad. However, you can't really trust what you see here. The reason for this is that it's currently sitting at about 14 million people, and it's in the green. If I had to make a change and get this down to maybe 100,000 people, it would probably still be in the green. So if it does ever go into the specific or the broad side, you definitely need to make a change. However, what we want to focus on is the estimated audience size over here. Now, what I found, especially for small businesses, is you never want to go over 1 million estimated audience size. The reason is if you go over 1 million, you're essentially doing a brand awareness campaign, regardless of what it is that you are trying to achieve, because you're just going to show your ads to everyone, regardless of their intent. 1 million is just a nice number that we chose. You want to get it a little bit lower than 1 million, especially with the lookalike audiences. You can generally bump those up to about 10 million. That is a waste of your time. 10 million people are not going to purchase your product, whereas if you bring it down below 1 million, is a lot more likelihood that someone is actually going to be interested in what it is that you're selling. So don't worry about this bar over here. Look at your estimated audience size and adjust it to get it below 1 million. Now, what you may find is because I've added all of these, it's actually grown. And that's because we are currently using an OR system, which is OR, if my accent is off. So essentially, someone could be interested in content marketing or copywriting or creative writing. It doesn't have to be all of them. We can make it an and system by narrowing the audience. So someone has to be interested in this, and they have to be interested in, I'm just going to write copywriting again, copywriting agency. Okay, so as you can see, it's significantly smaller now because they have to match one of these and this. So they have to be interested in both of those. We can then take that a step further and exclude as well. So we can exclude people that are, for example, in a specific specific industry that they may work in. We can always go through the browse section. Let's see, behaviors. Just because it's the first one here, console gamers. Okay, so anyone that's that is a console gamer or interested in that, they're now being excluded. So essentially what you can do is you can build a very, very strong audience here, but based specifically around what it is that you're advertising. And then to take that a step further, we have this advanced detailed targeting. Essentially what this does is it loosely looks at what you've got here, but within reason. So if someone matches everything here, but they're a console gamer, it might still show it to them if Facebook thinks that they are going to convert. So in almost all cases, I want you guys to switch this on. Okay. And you'll see the audience slightly grows over here. If you are not seeing the results that you want, or you're getting too much traffic through and it's not actually resulting into conversions, the first step of optimizing would be to switch this off and then let it run for another week to see if that makes a change. So as you can see, it's 100,000. When I had it on, it was 1 million. So we're close to 1 million. It's fine. I will move on. This is obviously not as detailed as I would like it, but here's where you can specifically choose who you want to engage with your audience, with your ads. Then I always recommend saving the audience. So you save the audience so that you can use it again in a later stage. Even if you think you're only going to use this audience once, save it because you can edit it at a later stage and it may have something in it that you might need. Okay, next is the placements. So the placements can be tricky, but if you think of this as a consumer and not an advertiser, it becomes a little bit easier. So this is recommended by Facebook. Unfortunately, Facebook is just trying to get money out of you here. So we don't want to use that section. We always want to use manual placements. This is essentially where we choose where our ads show up. So what we're going to do now is go through and select where we know people are going to be looking at our ads. If I just go to this Facebook page here, and if I just go to the home page really quickly, let me just move that. Okay, so this is the home page. Most people, if not all people, they scroll down the middle and they focus down the middle. But what you may not have noticed is that on the right column here, there are 2 ads here. Very unlikely that you're going to look at that ad and click on that ad. Facebook will see this if you have it on recommended. Facebook will see at the end of the day, you're trying to get more reach. We haven't reached the target. Let's just show the ad there to everyone. They will then say, look at all these results we're getting. However, those are not the results that you're after because you can't guarantee if someone saw that. So manual placements, we can choose where we want to show our ads. Okay, so Facebook and Instagram, Audience Network and Messenger. We can select the whole thing over here, or we can go through and individually select, which is what I recommend. So Facebook feed is the middle. We want people to look at that. We know people are going to look at that. So we leave Facebook, Instagram feed on. Marketplace, yes, because people are purchasing products there. Video feeds, it will be if someone is scrolling through videos. The right column is obviously the one we don't want because it's on the right column. The explore section, the Instagram explore section, unless you are selling a product or doing brand awareness, I do not want you to put this on. So a service or something would not work here. We want that switched off. The shop as well, same thing. Unless it's a product, you don't want to show your services in the Facebook shop. You're more than welcome to. I'm just saying that from what I've experienced is that you don't get the best return. People are looking for products that they can purchase in the shop section. Messenger inbox is more of a chatting service, so it's very unlikely that people engage with ads over here. So we tend to switch this one off as well. And unless you're in the financial industry, I wouldn't recommend having the business explore on. You can use this for brand awareness if you wanted to. Once again, it is kind of your choice, but it does tend to spend a little bit more and not get the results because we can't guarantee that people are actually engaging with it. So out of our feeds, we know now that people are going to see our ad. Okay, it's not just going to be displayed in the corner. We have our stories. Stories are a fantastic way to actually engage with your audience. You can have multiple slides on your stories. You can, and people do see them generally on a daily basis. People engage with stories a lot more than they do with the feeds as it is at the moment. So Instagram, Facebook, Messenger, you can leave those on. With Reels, so unless your ad is a video or someone talking to the camera or someone actually trying to sell a product through a video, I wouldn't switch that on, because if it's just an image, someone scrolling past it straight away, it's almost a guarantee. So once again, it's up to you, but unless it's in real formats, you don't want it there. In-stream video, we do want these on in most cases because someone's watching a video and then your ad will play between that. So we do want those on. Reels overlay, if you look at the image over there, it's at the top corner. If it's related to what the reel is about, it will show. That's your choice. Search results, we always want the search results on because if someone's searching for your product, for example, your ad will show. In article and app sites are generally cheaper for Facebook to show your ad there. So they'll get more reach, or they'll show your ads there more often, because then they can give you better, or it will look like better results. They'll say, look how much reach we got, but did those people actually engage with your ad? Not too sure. So you can have these on if you're trying to increase brand awareness. Otherwise, I always say just switch those two off. And if we scroll right up to the top, you'll see audience network is those two. So that's been switched off. Okay, so essentially what we've done now is selected exactly where people are going to see our ads. So they're not going to be shown in odd places. We know where our ads are going to be shown. What we can then do is move on to the next step, which is optimization and delivery. So at the moment, this is how you pay for your ads. So we're going to pay every time someone clicks on the link. Okay, Facebook is going to show your ad quite often because it's going to get a lot of people clicking through. But so if we look here, 57 link clicks. If I change this to landing page views, it drops down to 9. Okay, so landing page views is someone has actually performed an action on your website. So they've got to your page and they've actually viewed the page. So they've scrolled or they've clicked or they've done something on your page. So this is obviously a lot less, but would you rather have 50 people clicking to your website and leaving, or 9 people clicking to your website and actually engaging and possibly purchasing one of your products? In most cases, you'd go for the 9 option. So I would always say landing page views is the best option to go for. We do have others like daily unique reach, which is essentially it's going to show to different people every single day. So it's not going to duplicate your ads, or it's not going to show me your ads more than once a day. So you can have that. And then impressions, it's going to show your ads as much as possible. So the cheapest would be link clicks. However, the best results would come from landing page views. So we want to select that one. Okay, so that was a lot to digest, I understand, but essentially that is your ad set, and that is how you basically decide where your ads are going to show, who they're going to show to, and when they're going to show, and how much you're willing to spend on them. So a lot of effort needs to go into your ad set, and you'll find your results will actually increase if you spend more time on this than you do actually on the ad. Okay, so next is the ad level. Okay, so the ad level, we can give the ad a name once again. Generally, if you just put in here what you're advertising, that works perfectly fine. Okay, then we select our Facebook page and the Instagram account that we wanted to show it on. And then we can go down here and go through our ad setup. Now we have this format section, which I want to focus on. Single image and or video is majority of people would use that one. Now the single image will allow you to use multiple images. The video will obviously allow you to use a video that you've created, or you can even create a video using your images. The way that social media works at the moment is Facebook is essentially a business, and it makes its money the longer people spend on the platform. So you want to play into this as much as possible. So if you use a video, which is 10 seconds long, or you use a static image, which someone can digest in 2 seconds, Facebook is going to prefer the video. We're also going to prefer the video because we can get more information across than we could on a single image or an image with text on. So we want to lean towards video. So in most cases, if not all cases, we want to select this one. I do see a lot of people using carousels, and I'm kind of against carousels because what we find is that if someone has to scroll through your carousel and there isn't a reason for it, you're essentially going to lose that click that could have been through to your website. So people on the internet are very lazy. They want information given to them. If they have to scroll and do something, that scroll could have been a click to your website, and you may have lost that sale. So carousel, unless there's a reason for it, unless you're trying to sell a story or you're trying to sell individual products, don't use a carousel. You can get the same engagement from a single image or a video. Okay, so Advantage Creative will automatically create variations of your ad. Once again, I don't recommend using that. You can, it works perfectly well, but we'll have more control if we duplicate the ad and then make the change manually. Okay, full screen mobile experience is a very nice thing that Facebook has added, but most of us here are small businesses and we're just trying to get our product or our service to our customers as quick as possible. So if we use the full screen mobile experience, and I had to choose a template over here, let's go with the storytelling one. Okay, this is essentially going to take me 20 minutes, maybe half an hour to go through and basically design what is essentially another ad. So if someone clicks on our ad, they're going to see this video, they're going to scroll through here, and then lastly, they're going to click on to your website. So this is going to take a while to actually create and make it look good. If you have the time to do this, by all means, go for it and do it. But you're going to get the same response as if you had just used a single image. So realistically speaking, I would say don't waste your time going through that, whereas you can get the same thing from a video or an image. Okay, below here, we have our ad creative. Now I'm going to show you a couple tricks with this, but generally what we want to do is add our media, so we can add an image or a video. Let's just go with this image over here. And here's where we can select the different aspect ratios for this. So generally we want this one to always be square image. This one is a little bit more horizontal, so we can go with the recommended option there. And then stories and reels, we need it to be vertical. As you can see, this doesn't really fit. So we can replace this image with another one. Now, I don't actually have any verticals, so I'm just going to go with this option here. Okay, and let's just pretend that this is a vertical image, but essentially you can have one ad where the feed image is square, but the story image is vertical. So you can create different variations of that. Okay, we can then go to the optimize section. Here we can allow enhancements. So allow enhancements essentially will adjust the image brightness or contrast, as well as the aspect ratio based on how people interact with ads in the past. So if Facebook has shown me an ad that they've made bright and I've clicked on it in the past, they know going forward, okay, they must brighten the ads so that I can get better engagement, or I can give better engagement. Now, they would obviously adjust this for every single person. If you are a company like Coca-Cola, you wouldn't use this because the color can slightly change and their color red needs to be perfect. We are obviously small businesses. Our logos sometimes are not that recognizable, so the color can slightly change. So I would always recommend putting this on because we can see better performance from it than we would if we switched it off. Okay. Okay, so next we have the primary text. Okay, the primary text is what goes at the top here. Sorry about that. So I'm just going to write something here. It's essentially a template that we're going to use. And the reason for this, I will explain once I've typed it out. So give me 1 second. Kieran, are there any questions that came through while I'm typing this?
Not yet. We're all waiting for a few. So yeah, definitely send them through. It's all good so far. I guess, yeah, for sure. Any of the ninja tricks that you can keep sharing, I think that's the gold. How to get more customers with spending less money.
Cool. Okay, so with the primary text, this is what goes at the top here. What we don't want to spend a lot of time on this. We want to put 90%, if not more, effort into our content. Okay, our content, I'm referring to the image or the video that you use. If I go back to the Facebook page, most people, what they do is they would scroll and they would see something that pops up, okay, like this, and then only when something interests them will they then go and read what is above. It's very unlikely that someone's going to read that first and then go and look at the image. So you need to put all of your efforts into creating the content, and then from that, this template could essentially write itself. Now, this template that I've got here is essentially just a funnel sort of system. So what we want to do is ask a question. The question is related to your content. It is a problem someone may be having. It may be a service that they're not being offered. You're essentially creating that relatability with your question. You're then going to give information on the product or service that you are providing. It doesn't have to be related to the question at all. And lastly, you want to give a call to action to the website. In most cases, you want to send people to your website. You don't want to make the sale here. You want to make the sale on your website. So the call to action will drive them to your website where they get more information. So an example of this is if I had to add an option, if I'm using copywriting for ProfileTree, I can say, are you looking for a copywriter? Question mark. Then give information on the product or service. So I can say ProfileTree was rated the #1 agency for SEO in Northern Ireland. Okay, so I'm telling you the service that we offer, but I'm not relating it to the question. Then I can say, find out how we can grow your business on our website. Okay, so what we've done now, what we've achieved here, is essentially we've got them engaged with the content. They then read the question above, and if they're not looking for a copywriter, we filtered them out. If they are looking for a copywriter, they will continue to read. Then they will see ProfileTree was rated #1 agency. They say, okay, that's great. ProfileTree can help me out. How does ProfileTree help me out? Well, the next sentence, find out how we can grow your business on our website. Then they click onto the website. So following that simple template of those 3 sentences, with putting most of the effort into our content, we should be able to get people clicking through that are actually looking for what it is that we're selling. If people do click through and they're not looking for it, they've obviously made a mistake. If people are clicking through and not going through with it, then there might be something on your website you can look at. But essentially with this, we kind of filter out the people that aren't interested. So we can say that the people that are coming through, there must be a reason that they're not purchasing, or maybe they are purchasing, and then it's a win for everyone. Okay, so the headline is not like a traditional headline on a newspaper. It actually goes below. We're not trying to grab any sort of attention here. We're just trying to tell people what to do, or we're just trying to give a little bit more information. So you can keep your company's name there, works perfectly fine. You can say, contact us, and use a call to action. Or you could even say, if you're having a promotion, for example, you could say 50% off sale over there. So essentially what you're using there is just you adding on information. You're just calling out some sort of information that might get people to click if they're on the fence. Okay, so let's go back to this. Okay, the description is optional as well. Generally what this does is it pulls information from your website. So it pulls a line of text from your website. If there is a reason that you want to put a specific description in, you can. Typically, I don't add them in just for time purposes. So it's just a lot easier to just skip past them. But if there is a reason you want to add it in, so contact us and say something of we offer 10% discount to new users or something along those lines, we can do that. Below this, we can add a link to our website or a Facebook event. So to do that, you simply just copy and paste it in here. Okay, and you'll see here it updates. Okay, so it says ProfileTree.com, and it's still loading. There you go. ProfileTree are specialists, and it's basically pulled that from the website. Okay, so the display link is this ProfileTree.com over here. And it's essentially taking your domain. If there's a reason you want to change this, you can in the display link. This is obviously optional. Below this, we have call extensions. If I switch this on, I'll need to put in a phone number here, and people will be able to call on mobile directly through to that number. And it's going to cost the same as if they had to click on the ad. Okay, lastly is the call to action. So this is the button over here. We can change this to whatever is most relevant. There are a couple to choose from, so find the one that's most relevant to your ad. Okay, then the last thing to do is obviously the tracking. Now, you may get to this stage and this will be unticked and it will say setup over here. That would mean that you still need to set up a pixel on your website. Now, in most cases, WordPress, Shopify, and a couple others, it's just a plugin that you need to download and install on your website. If you are using a website builder that is slightly different to those, it's a piece of code that goes in the header of your account, and it's actually very easy to do. They take you through step by step. So if you do have one, you can do select website events, and then you can turn that on there. Okay. So now we know we're going to be tracking information that's going through. Okay, I just want to look at the advanced preview over here. So the advanced preview will show you all your different variations of your ad. So you can see your feed is what it's going to look like over there. On Instagram, this is what it's going to look like. And your stories are going to look like this. And it actually plays through the stories. So if you do have a video, you'll be able to see it moving. Okay. Okay, so that's the whole setup. Then essentially you would click on publish. It takes about 20 minutes to an hour. It can take sometimes more than that, especially if you've got a new account to get approved. And then it will go into a learning phase for 2 days to 7 days where Facebook is learning where to show your ad. Now, with that being said, you never want to run an ad less than 7 days, or you never want to make a change less than 7 days. So let your ad go through the learning phase and then start figuring out, is it showing in the right place or not? And then you can make a change to your audience or anything. If you've changed after 3 days, you're not really doing anything because Facebook is still learning. So rule of thumb would be to let it run for at least 7 days, then monitor from that point on, is it working, is it not working? And then you can make a change. Cool. So that's essentially the setup there for creating a new campaign. Now, I did want to talk about a strategy. Generally, what you would do is you would have a reach campaign. Let's just create a new one. Sorry, let's go back here. Okay, so generally, the typical strategy that we would go through when creating this is we would set up a reach campaign or a brand awareness campaign. And this is going to go to the audience that you initially set up. So copywriting audience that we created of about 1 million people. We're going to essentially create that audience, and we're going to have an awareness campaign showing our product or our service to those people. Then we're going to have a pixel set up on the website, and everyone that visits the website is then going to be targeted through a traffic campaign. Now, so everyone that is interested with the ad at this section, so if they've clicked on the ad or engaged with the ad, or they've viewed your page, you can essentially create that audience and then target them through a traffic campaign. The traffic campaign's objective is to send people to your website. Then anyone that visits your website will be targeted with a sales campaign. And the sales campaign will be a very small group of people that have visited your website and shown interest. And your objective here is to turn those into sales or conversions, depending on what it is. So the setup that we've just gone through is the same for all of these, except in the last one, you need to select that specific event. So if I just gave you an example of this. Okay, so over here, we need to select the specific events that we want Facebook to optimize towards. I only have purchase set up as an event. If you set up more events, you can then target separate events. Purchase is probably the one that most people are going to go for. Sign up and purchase work hand in hand. You can obviously change those depending on what your website is, how your website is set up. So your conversion event would be showing ads to particular people that have visited your site with the objective of getting them to make a purchase. So that would be the strategy. You would have 3 campaigns running at the same time. One is running for awareness, one is driving to your website, and one is actually converting those website visits into sales. You can manage your budget however you want within those. Generally, we put most of the budget in the conversion campaign, but it's completely up to you.